April Jeanette Mendez, aka AJ Lee, was born March 19th, 1987, and grew up in poverty, with her family bouncing around homes, even sometimes having to sleep in a car. She quickly found an escape to the stresses of life when she set eyes on the TV and saw the larger-than-life superheroes of the WWF. She even proclaimed to her older brother that she would one day become a wrestler like Molly Holly, Lita, and Trish Stratus. She quickly became a dedicated wrestling fan, dreaming of becoming a WWE superstar. At 20 years old, Mendez began her professional wrestling career in New Jersey's independent circuit. Just 2 years later, she signed with WWE in 2009 after paying $1,500 for a WWE tryout. She would then spend 2 years in its developmental branch, Florida Championship Wrestling, before her promotion to the main roster. AJ came onto the scene with her main roster debut on the May 27, 2011 episode of SmackDown as part of a tag team with Caitlyn, referring to themselves as the Chick Busters, a nice anti-diva gimmick that was much needed at the time to show that women could be badasses. 2013 is when her career really took off, and on July 16th of that year, she accomplished her childhood dream of becoming a champion when she won the Divas Championship. She would go on to be a 3-time Divas champion. Her title reigns would not only bring significance to the Divas title, but bring relevance to a division that needed a superstar to kick down the walls and show that women could be main event draws. There's no doubt her excellent in-ring work, unparalleled charisma, and some vicious promos that were not seen from the women at the time not only opened the eyes of WWE management, but inspired little girls to chase their dreams of pro wrestling, no matter what their stature or appearance was. Quite frankly, AJ Lee in her relatively short in-ring career has changed women's wrestling for the better. And even outside the ring, AJ has been very open about her bipolar disorder diagnosis as detailed in her New York Times best-selling book, Crazy is My Superpower, and is a proud advocate of mental health awareness. Would women's wrestling gotten this far without AJ? Would there even be Lumberjillville without AJ? Probably not, and for that, we are forever grateful. Thank you, AJ. And that's why today, to celebrate Women's History Month, we're going to honor her in the Lumberjillville way and do a history of AJ Lee figures. So buckle up, hold on tight, and enjoy. Hey y'all, welcome to Lumberjillville. Women's wrestling lives here. So for Women's History Month, I wanted to do a figure history of a woman that has truly shaped and contributed so much to make the women's division what it is today. And there have been multiple women that have done that. However, today we're going to focus on the figure history of AJ Lee. Now, she did only have 6 Mattel releases, and to be honest with you, as you'll see in this video, the face scan can be a little crazy, a little off. And I really don't think they nailed a perfect AJ figure, but either way, it's a part of figure history, so I wanted to take a closer look to such an important superstar. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what figure history videos are on this channel, I basically start with her oldest figure or her first in the line figure, and I end with her most recent one. And I talk about what the attire's from, and I also give an up-close look. And then at the very end, I'm going to rank them from my least favorite to my favorite, in my opinion. And what's kind of fun is the winner, or my favorite AJ Lee figure, will be awarded this Divas Championship and will be displayed on my shelf proudly wearing it. So, before we take a closer dive, I wanted to show you some toy-related, pretty cool information on AJ Lee. So let's start off with this picture of an unreleased prototype of AJ Lee dressed as Kane, as seen in her book, Crazy is My Superpower. It's honestly too bad that this was never released, as it's such a unique and cool looking figure. This would have been a great fig to feature in a Jilloween video, honestly. AJ Lee, WWE Shop Exclusive Funko Pop, released on August 18th, 2014. Now this pop has become a truly rare and sought after piece for wrestling collectors alike. The last MOC one sold for $450 on eBay, and loose for $150. Definitely a grail for wrestling pop collectors out there, but a cool piece. So now let's begin AJ Lee's figure history, and let's begin with her first in the line figure. Basic Series 24, released in 2013. This attire is based off promo shots taken with her tag team partner at the time, Caitlyn. Together they formed the memorable tag team, the Chick Busters, as mentioned in the intro. Alright, so taking a closer look at her debut figure. Now, this might be my favorite scan of AJ's, and as you'll see throughout her 6-figure releases, she has quite a few scans, and a lot of them are pretty bad, whereas I don't think this one is that terrible. I think it does resemble her a little bit, especially her face shape. Now, remember, this is way before TrueFX face scan technology, so it is what it is, but I really don't think it's that bad. I actually like it, and I really like that hair sculpt. Now, it is important to note that this is a brownish color, which when I think of AJ Lee, I mostly think of the jet black hair, but this is very accurate to the time. Now, what really pops out to me is this necklace accessory. It's a very metallic, shiny silver, which looks awesome. She also has a bracelet on each wrist, and this is something that's repeated throughout the line. And then her top is just this yellow molded sports bra type top that's yellow with black trim. And then this is her one and only figure that's in pants. Now this is like a spandex or yoga pant type look that she has going on here. And then she does have her signature boots that we see quite a bit out of her 6 figures. So honestly, this figure does look great, but it just doesn't give me the iconic feel of AJ Lee, especially because she's in these pants. I think we all think of her in the shorts. So with that being said, let's move on to the next. Basic Series 30, released in 2013. This attire is based off of the 2012 Slammy Awards that took place on December 17th, where AJ Lee won Kiss of the Year for her and John Cena's memorable kiss. It's funny to note that all the Kiss nominees involved AJ Lee. So in her second figure release, we once again got that scan that was in her debut figure, which I actually like, and as you'll see as we go on, this really is a good scan in my opinion. The only difference this time around is we have that jet black hair color, which to me is a lot more iconic for AJ, so I absolutely love it. Now, moving on to her accessories, her necklace this time still has that little lightning bolt, except it's a dull gray, not the shiny metallic silver that we got in her first figure. And then her wrist bracelets, this time around we have white and black, and she also has these little fingerless glove wrist wraps type painted on there. And she also has black fingernail polish, which is a nice little inclusion, nice little detail. Now, looking at her attire, as you can see, it's pretty plain. With the upper extremity just having this black sports bra mold just painted on with no logos or details, which is a little bit of a letdown. And then this is the first time in her figures that we get her in her iconic jean shorts. And looking up close here, the belt is painted on with nice detail. It's got little silver rivets and a silver buckle painted on, with little blue lines going around. She has black knee pads and then her signature boots with those straps molded on the sides. And then the Converse type appearance. So yeah, this is the first time we get her in her more iconic type attire with those shorts. So I really like this figure. Now as we go on, we will see what's my favorite. Elite Series 21, released in 2013. This attire has become pretty iconic for AJ as she worn it on multiple occasions. To list a time in each brand that she wore this, on the September 20th, 2011 NXT where AJ defeated Maxine, on the June 16th, 2012 Raw where Daniel Bryan and AJ defeated The Miz and Eve, and on the September 16th, 2011 SmackDown where she was defeated by Beth Phoenix. So now let's move on to AJ's one and only Elite figure release. Now what makes this figure an Elite release? Who freaking knows, because honestly her articulation on this figure is the exact same as all her basics, and on top of that, the only accessory she comes with is the necklace and bracelets, which are even advertised on the box, which is kind of crazy because her previous 2 basics had those anyway. So there's really nothing extra you get here. But moving closer, looking at the face scan, this is the first and only time that they use this scan, and it's pretty unique. I don't think it's good. I don't think it looks like AJ, but I definitely don't think it's the worst scan that they gave her, so it's not bad. What I really don't like is that hair sculpt. It's got this weird, thin piece kind of hanging down in the middle. I like when it has that more full appearance like her first 2 basics. Now, like I mentioned, she does have those bracelets and that necklace, which we've seen previously. But what really makes this figure stand out is this awesome attire. It's very intricately painted. Mine's kind of worn a little bit. Now, it's this green plaid attire, and it really stands out. It looks awesome. And she has this little skull logo on the side, stripe on the other side. Her knee pads have that green plaid look and also those logos, and then her Converse style boots. So yeah, this is definitely not the worst AJ figure, and I really do like that green plaid attire. However, the fact that they release this as an elite and there's really nothing that makes it an elite figure, that's hugely disappointing. So with that being said, let's move on to the next figure. Superstar Entrances Walmart exclusive, released in 2014. Now, this figure is a bit of a mashup as far as the attire goes, as she wore the shorts in the 2013 Payback pay-per-view, which took place on June 16th when AJ defeated Caitlyn for the Divas Championship. However, AJ wore this shirt on the September 27th, 2013 edition of SmackDown, where she defeated Cameron. Alright, now this to me is when her scan starts to get really weird, and I really do not like this scan whatsoever. I mean, even the hair sculpt, I really don't like. It's just weird. Very strange. I know they're trying to get her whole crazy AJ type gimmick, but it just looks bizarre. And this is one of those situations that if you remove this head and put it on a generic female wrestler body, nobody would have any idea who it was. And that's a good sign that the scan is horrible. So I don't like this scan at all. And something else I noticed compared to the other figures is that her neck seemed to have disappeared. Now, this is the first time that we get this half t-shirt mold on AJ, and that's great, don't get me wrong. But something about that, I don't know if it's the shoulder height or what, but her neck is gone. So it does not resemble AJ. Now, taking a closer look at this pink shirt, it is nicely detailed. It's got a really cool logo on the front. And on the back, we see these molded rips. Now, it's important to note that this mold was reused for the Liv Morgan Elite that came out later. A lot of people aren't too aware of that, but yeah, it's a pretty fun fact there. So moving on to her lower half here, we have these two-tone shorts, which are cool, and I'll get to the reason why it kind of bothers me in a second. And then going down to her boots, we have these pink boots. Now, what bothers me about this figure is the shirt, the shorts, the bracelet, and the boots are all like different shades of pink, and me being colorblind, it all drives me nuts. Absolutely drives me nuts. So, visually appealing, I don't think this is at all. I'm not a huge fan. I get that they're going with the pink and everything, and that t-shirt mold is cool, but the missing neck, that bad face scan, and then all the different tones and shades, it drives me nuts. I know the shorts are accurate and so is the shirt, but putting them together, because this is kind of an attire mashup, drives me wild. Battle Pack Series 28 with Big E Langston, released in 2014. This attire is from WWE Main Event on January 8th, 2014, where she defeated Caitlyn. So, in this figure release, we once again get that bizarre scan that I just am not a fan of, and that weird hair mold. And then we get that half t-shirt mold once again, which seems to make her neck disappear. Now, looking closely at that t-shirt, it does look cool, and it's intricately painted, says Love Bites, looks great, right? It's once again got those tears in the back molded on. She has a pink bracelet and a black bracelet. Nails are colored again. And then those shorts. This time she has knee pads. On that last figure, she actually didn't have knee pads, which is a little bizarre. And then her Converse style boots this time have the pink laces. Now if you'll notice, and even in that last figure, they eliminated the straps on the side from her first couple releases. So that's kind of a letdown. But yeah, this is definitely not the worst AJ figure, but it's definitely not one of the top. Basic Series 53, released in 2015. This was also a very iconic attire for AJ, and one that has become her signature look. She wore this on multiple occasions, such as on the Battleground 2014 pay-per-view that took place on July 20th, where AJ Lee defeated Paige to retain the Divas title. On the July 21st, 2014 Raw, where AJ and Paige defeated Natalya and Emma. And on the September 8th, 2014 Raw, where AJ and Paige defeated Rosa Mendez and Natalya. So here it is, the final figure that we got of AJ Lee, and I have to say, they came so close to making a perfect AJ Lee figure, but I feel like they fell short, and it's simply because of that face scan. This is the first and only time we got this particular scan, and to me it's just so plain, so boring. I mean, she looks so sad, she looks so depressed, and she's so charismatic. It just doesn't match up with her personality, and it really does not look like her at all. Kind of a generic scan. But the hair mold is great. I really like that. And this time around, this upper body mold here, it's different than that t-shirt mold. It's kind of a hybrid of a modified t-shirt rolled up. It has great detail throughout. It looks awesome. And then look at that detail on that heart rib cage on the front. It looks amazing. And her neck has made an appearance. Her neck is back, I'm happy to say. So that looks great. And her little wristbands here painted on with a little logo. Very intricate, very awesome. Her shorts are the same as what we've seen. She has these knee pads with lines going across. And then the boots are just plain black in those Converse style with red laces. So honestly, a lot of people think this is the best AJ figure, and I can't argue with them. I mean, I'm not crazy about the scan, and that's what makes it fall short to me. But this attire is freaking awesome. I mean, I would say if you're going to get any AJ Lee figure, this is probably the one you want to go after. Even though it's not my favorite, this is an awesome one. And seeing this figure up close and looking at this attire, I mean, it's a gorgeous figure. So I love it. And here's one last look at AJ Lee's Mattel figure releases. So now it's time for me to rank them from my least favorite to my favorite. Now remember, this is my opinion only, but I would love to hear your opinions in the comments. So make sure you let me know what's your least and what's your favorite. So starting out at number 6, we have the Superstar Entrances Walmart exclusive. To me, I don't like that scan. It's weird that it has no neck. I don't like the hair mold. There's no knee pads. And also, all the different colors of pink drives me wild. So that's why it is my least favorite. Now, moving right behind it, we have Battle Pack Series 28 AJ. Once again, it has that weird face scan. I'm not crazy about it. That t-shirt mold is nice, but it eliminates her neck. I just think it's a weird one. So at number 4, we have Basic Series 24 in her debut figure. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a cool figure, but this is just not an iconic look for AJ. And on top of that, the brown hair isn't really what I remember her as. I know she did have a brunette stage, but either way, it's not my favorite, and I'm not a huge fan of the yoga pant look. So number 3, we have Elite Series 21. Now, this being an Elite figure that's not much different than her basics, that's the one thing that really takes it down. The scan is the first and only time that they use this particular one, and I don't think it's horrible. I just don't think it's that great. But that being said, that attire freaking rules. I think it really pops. It stands out, and I definitely think it's a cool figure. And at number 2, we have Basic Series 53. Now, this figure is a lot of people's number 1 as far as their AJ Lee figures go. And for me, it just came down to the face. I think that attire is great. I think it looks awesome. They did such an amazing job, not only with the molding, but the painting also. It's just that face game just seems so bland and so plain and really doesn't look like AJ to me, and that's why it's number 2. So, my number 1 AJ Lee figure, and the figure that's awarded the Divas title for my shelf, is Basic Series 30 AJ Lee. So I realize that this figure might seem a little boring to some of you because the attire is just so plain. However, I think this is such an iconic look for AJ. She has the shorts, she has the black top, she has the knee pads, she has the Converse sneakers, and I absolutely love that scan. And I also like that jet black hair, so that's why it's number 1 for me. And when it came down to it, which it was a hard decision, I tried the Divas title on the different AJs, and this one just looked right. So this is why Basic Series 30 was my number 1 choice. So overall, I am truly glad that we did get figures of AJ Lee because she did have a relatively short run in the WWE, but made such an impact for the women's division that she deserved every single one of these figures. Are they the greatest? No. Did we get that perfect AJ Lee figure? No, we did not. And I know a return for AJ is kind of in doubt for the future, but if she does return, I hope to see an awesome Mattel Elite figure of her. But I hope you enjoyed my countdown here, my figure history. Make sure you let me know in the comments what you thought of it and what your favorite AJ is. Thanks for stopping by Lumberjillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and join the community for a first look at all women's wrestling figures. Have a good night, y'all.